Hi everyone, welcome to Joelmar's War in the East channel. First, a little background on me. I've been a War in the East player since January 2019. From day one, I became an avid student of the game, and I've played well over 1,000 hours in 1 year, bordering on craziness at times. To that must be added countless hours invested in reading and playtesting all kind of stuff from various sources. I also had the luck of creating very good bonds with a few excellent experienced players who taught me the greater part of what I know. Of course, this game is a monster with a seemingly unending complexity, and I still have much to learn. But I have acquired a solid level of competence which serves me well. Building on that, I will do my best to create quality content that would hopefully help others in their quest to master this fantastic game and help me continue my learning journey at the same time. The purpose of this channel is to help the diffusion of gameplay techniques, tactics, and strategies used in War in the East, and of course trigger discussion. Again, I don't claim to be the absolute expert. Most of what I know comes from others, and I intend to give pointers at reference material that inspired and helped me in creating those videos. To be able to cover all the subjects I wish to tackle, I will create three types of videos. First, technical, second, strategies and tactics, and finally, opinion. In the first two types, I will try to focus on hard facts and proven concepts if such a thing is possible. In the third one, I will talk about the way I see, understand, and play the game. Another thing I believe is worth mentioning is that I'm a slow player. I'll never be the kind of guy to play a full campaign turn in one evening. Not that I couldn't play fast, but I like to think things through, plan even small details, and give my brain time to find the best solution to uncertain matters. I give a lot of attention to logistics. I wouldn't say that I'm an extreme micromanager. Others have way more knowledge and passion than I do in these matters. I much prefer pushing counters around. But I also like when things are tidy and my troops are in good shape. To finish, a little roundup of my playing experience. Like most people, I made my first steps against the AI, playing many of the smaller scenarios as Axis until I won. I then started a campaign, still against the AI, and played up to turn 13. I then decided out of the blue one evening that I had enough of playing against a dummy and put an ad for a multiplayer game. I was lucky to find an opponent who was way more experienced than me, but who had only played as Axis before and had not played for a few years. But I learned fast. I adapted my play as the game went along and my troops were well groomed, so I could attack up to the end of the snow period and managed a few good moves. And even if I failed taking Moscow or Leningrad, I was at the doorsteps. All in all, not a glorious game, but not a bad start for a rookie player playing against a much more experienced player. If I have an advice to give to any beginner Axis player playing the smaller scenarios, it would be to play at least one against yourself in human versus human mode, just to get a grip of what's possible to the other side. The same is true for the Soviet players, of course. I was then recruited as Axis South Commander in a team game which was at turn 38. That game is still going strong. We are now in the Soviet Go of turn 54. Team games have a dynamic and rhythm of their own, which suits my play style perfectly. Also, I don't have to bother about the air war and all the back office paperwork, so I can just push units around and live the life of a glorious German field marshal. Joke aside, the other thing I love about team games is to be able to discuss tactics and strategies with people who have access to the same game data and are aware of the same circumstances as I do. And it is at the same time a great learning experience because, as in all things, the sum is often greater than the parts. There are some compromises to be made, of course, but there are also great synergies of ideas. Enough about me. Now you have a picture of who I am as a War in the East player. You will find out more if you subscribe to my channel. For the second part of this video, I will show you a few resources that helped me learn this game. The first resource that I must mention is Eval von Kleist's library of War in the East resources. You will find it in the War Room section in the Matrix War in the East series. Okay, the War Room section is the third item. Then you go to the first item on the top, and it's the library of warranties resources. The first thing that must be mentioned is the updated manual. That's the work of warranties player Chris21 Wen, who graciously does that voluntarily, and we're all grateful to him. He takes basically the patch notes and updates the original manual, and he's now at version 2.55. You can see it here. That's the manual, and you got lots of stuff. That's a long read, but I think it's worth it. You can always start by looking through whatever you need to know at the moment, at one moment. Because, of course, there's a smaller set of actions that you must know to be able to at least operate the game. But if you want to be efficient, and, you got to know a much larger set. So updated manual is really a must-have and a must-read for me. Then you got the Warren the East Operational Bootcamp by DLazov66, which is a good work. A lot of information, both on tactics and strategies too. So it's, I think, a must-read too. You got documents on supply that Evolve von Kleist wrote. Those are also really good. Basic Player's Guide by the Dr. King, more for the Soviet side, but interesting information for everyone too. Okay, you got some checklists, protocol, CV calculation formulas by Marvel. Marvel is the man responsible to develop the patches, so he's an insider. He's got a lot of very good information that probably only he knows, because from, I think it was 4 patches ago, he's been the main developer of the game. Always a good read for Marvel stuff. Okay, you got some aircraft stuff here. Support unit guide to by Exol, which is very comprehensive, well made, and quite recent. I think it was produced the end of January 2020. So you got a few maps here, planning maps, historical frontline maps, railway map, offensive plan for 42, examples of planning maps you can use yourself. Then you got the ARs. Those are ARs that were important in their time. I warmly, for the air war, recommend 3.1, the 8MP AR. All the information that Telemachus wrote about his techniques and how he does things. And so in the 8MP AR, it's starting from post 928. Okay, so he's starting there. He's got a few pages of information on how he does things and how he sees it, and you got a discussion on it too by others, and very good read for anyone interested in the air war. Then you got spreadsheets. When you go in the game, in the commander's report, which you can open by pressing C, in the units tab, you got on the bottom right an export button. Then when you click on it, it exports a CSV file, which you can find if you go in your game folder, in your DAT folder. Again, you go to the save folder, and then you find always, when you, after an export, you got the stats file here, which is a CSV, which you can open with any editor that can open CSV. So for those of you who are familiar with it, it works well. Those spreadsheets, you can import the CSV data in them, and then depending on the spreadsheet, everyone has his own way of doing things, but you can get some very good information. Leaders here by Telemachus, aircraft too by Telemachus, OB tracker too. Okay, these are funny things for laugh. Here in the software and mods, you got the patch and mod archive, which is by Marvel, the guy who creates the patches. So you got all the patches since the first one after he took over from 2x3. Here you got the mod archive. You can find in the mod archive JSON map mod, which is the one I'm using in my game. So it's beautiful and it's got all the names of the towns and more artistic depiction of the map. Some prefer the original, but myself, I prefer Jason's map. In big part because of the city name, I would say, because I find it easier to orient myself in the map. So, yeah. That situation map slideshow generator is absolutely cool. It also works with the CSV export. It creates movie. You can create maps with all the position of your units, and you can create one for each turn, and then you can stitch them together in the application. It's a very nice piece of work too. We got some passionate people in the War in the East community, and it's fun to see what people come up with. I wrote a War in the East tracker, which you can download here in the resources. It's a web-based application that you can install. You have to be a bit techy to use it, but if you are able to install on your PC a PHP web server with tools like WAMP or something like that, then you can install that application and import the turn data from the CSV export that I talked about earlier. And then for each turn, well, you can have data here for the general game. So these are man, you can see AFV, aircraft. You can choose here what country you want. You can see Soviet Union. So you can compare fast how the graphs develop for each. Here you have unit stats analysis from turn to turn. Here you have OKH. You have moral is blue, experience is red. Oh no, in fact, this is not moral. This is one you can remove. Let's say want to see only the one loss of that unit. You got all the detail data for each turn the unit was in the game. You can choose whatever country, combat class, armor. You can choose the size. So if you want to see only the divisions, so then you got the list of the. So it's a well-crafted tool. I think it's useful for many instances. There are other things too that you can get in there. There's an OOB, graphic OOB. So instead of seeing tables in the game OOB, in fact, it's the same thing as this. So you have all the information here. You got the information, but in a graph. And then you can see what air groups are on an air base with some stats from them. For each corp, you have the number of type of units. So there's 5 infantry and 1 mountain is in 34th Corps. The moment that the CSV was exported, of course. This is for the turn. So it's a nice tool. I recommend looking at it if you have the courage. So this is it for the War in the East resources. I hope you like this video. I will do others, of course, and I encourage you to subscribe to Joelmar's War in the East channel on YouTube. Also, don't hesitate to comment or ask questions. Thank you for listening and see you in another video.
На поле танки грохотали, солдаты шли в последний бой, а молодого командира неслись пробитые